the one good thing coming out of COVID perhaps is, did we actually really truly change the game in cancer, if not cure it in some cases? And that's what this is about. Hey everyone, it's time to get real with me yet again. Appreciate you being here for this. It's a really cool one that's close to my heart. Given my own personal recent experience. So I've got Dr. Lennard Lee from the National Health Service. He's leading their cancer vaccine program. It's very exciting, very interesting. He's a really wonderful guy, a patient first kind of person. You're going to see, how warm and caring, yet obviously innovative and capable he is. He's really breaking ground in ways that I think will change the game in cancer vaccines. We're going to talk today a little bit about, where they've been and where they're going, and how this game's going to change. It's really one of the more exciting podcasts. I can't wait to get into it with you guys. I'd love to hear from you about the path that brought you into this work.
It's all chance, Jim, to be honest. A little bit of good luck, but mostly chance. So I'm an oncologist. I treat prostate cancer. And in 2020, the question that the world wanted to know was, when everything's shutting down, the hospitals are closing, get everyone out of hospital, should you be giving cancer care? People didn't know at that stage. Half the doctors shut shop and said the best thing you do is send everyone home. And they stopped all treatments, nothing, just send people home, stay at home, keep yourself well. The other half kept going. I was kind of that half because you were thinking that if you stop your cancer treatment, is obvious the outcome. I decided to go this step further and form a data program to answer the question, because you don't know, you just get the answer. So I pulled together the UK COVID Cancer Project, and we got all 90 hospitals in the UK to share data. And we found out just within 2 or 3 months that it wasn't the cancer care which was making people die from COVID. The cancer care could be given very safely. And so that got me into this sphere of bigger projects, vaccine effectiveness, protecting populations. And then we then came to a world whereby I was asked to step up again and show a bit more leadership, this time to try and see new technologies come through, switch all that momentum which had been built up during COVID, move some of the Oxford infrastructures and capabilities and focus away from those working Oxford AstraZeneca vaccines and try and work out how much the community wanted to pioneer new technology spheres like vaccines against cancer, because it was a bit of a non-starter. And I've been championing that for 3 years and getting trials open, trying to get industry to focus in and get the benefit to people in the UK, because technology's there. You just need to test it now. So that's where I'd come from.
Okay, so, tell us, obviously, the NHS Cancer Vaccine Launchpad, it's a platform, right, that'll speed access to a tailored vaccine program and clinical trial. As this co-founder, can you talk me through the commitment it took to get it off the ground? How did that come together?
Yeah, Jim, it's really exciting. I find it very exciting because we've lived through a period of time where what we believe should take 10 years can be done in just a year. I mean, that's the truth. If people work together, you open your systems, you let people take part in trials, discoveries can happen very, very quickly. We saw that. We saw so many things come through. And so what we did in the UK was we just asked the question of our system. If a patient needs a vaccine anywhere in the country and they can get it, why is the same not possible in the cancer patients? Because if they want to be part of trials, why not? It shouldn't matter where you live. It shouldn't matter how much you earn. It shouldn't matter where the cancer is. It shouldn't matter what doctor it is. It should be available across the country. And so all the doctors in the country realised actually this is really important. The greatest hospital, the greatest trialists, and they pulled together to form a launchpad. So we have much greater access. And on top of that, we also got industry collaborations. We had that through earlier work by the governments. And so that was a launchpad, trying to get 10,000 people through trials across many cancer types. And the most amazing thing happens when people come together. Research technology, which was very nascent, now completing phase 3 trials, ending up with hundreds of thousands of people getting benefit, which they'd never previously had before. So it's really nice. The investment went to technology. The technology moved into a new sphere, And there is a potential bright sphere that may open up now for people with cancer to get better treatments, which are safer, more effective, and helps their immune system recognize the cancer rather than just you giving your standard therapies, which can be quite harsh.
So are we off the ground? Or you've got patients enrolling? We're on our way. I mean, how many patients? Where are we right now? How far, how fast have you gone?
All trials are global. You only have 3 phases of clinical trials to prove a technology. Phase 1 to make sure it's safe. It looks like the cancer vaccines are very safe, as safe as the ones the population have received during early years, the mRNAs. Phase 2, we need signals. And phase 3, the final bit where you know how effective it's going to be. The first product has finished a phase 3 trial and we're just waiting to report. So it's really exciting times. And there's a whole bunch of them now in the phase 2 space, which will soon be reading out to the next bit. So I do think this area is going to open up. And I do think that bright future of knowing how effective these treatments are is going to be really interesting. And the safety is being monitored throughout. So we're going to see if there's any rare side effects. Although the converse is probably less good where you don't have the therapies, but we're very close.
We were talking about the comparison of the US and the UK in terms of vaccines for cancer and the development. Do you think you're leading the way and possibly creating the sort of beacon of light, the example that everyone else can follow?
Yeah, it's really surprising, isn't it? Because we're a very little nation and all nations were tested, and we brought through our Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine and we got that Pfizer BioNTech jab the first, and it didn't take very much. It was just people coming together. I think we're really lucky because our country, maybe we're just more obedient, but maybe we should be more questioning like the Americans are and think about the side effects, because everything has a side effects. It's just about how rare it is and how the benefits outweigh the side effects. But our country wanted to try and go in again. We said we'll get a pandemic vaccine within a year. And again, we had these headlines, which was that we'll make a cancer vaccine advance and get 10,000 people through. And so it has happened. I do think America's fantastic too. You are getting your trials up and running, although when you look at the stats, we are ahead of you by a little bit. Like, we're recruiting really well in this country. Our greater centers, our greater trials are recruiting really well. And we're waiting for our American colleagues to just come on that journey with us of discovery, because research is global. But we sit in the situation today where trials are recruiting and closing 1 year ahead of schedule. And the UK is often in that pole position in terms of recruitment country, number of people through trials, which is, again, is surprising. And we do think one day the American centers will also start to activate too and bring more people through. So discoveries can happen much quicker.
What do you think explains that? What lessons can we learn about what and how you're conducting these?
I think the one thing I would say is that we just need to get patients first. Cancer's coming up everywhere, all parts of the country. Like, it's something that affects us all. And actually, where there's a will, there is a way. We've seen what it is to be under huge pressure against disease, which affects us all. And actually, we came out stronger. We realized we can make discoveries. You can approve quicker. You can get the leading technologies companies across the world into these hospitals if you put the patient first. If you approve quickly, it can happen. And that's effectively what's happening now in the cancer sphere in the UK. We would like to believe that when someone's worried, when their family's being affected, they can be reassured that they can be part of research. The latest technology can fly onto our shores, no matter where it is. German technology, American technology, it can all happen. And that's what's motivating everyone at the moment. The ambition to see change, the confidence. And that's what's the beacon, actually. Focusing on people first. And whatever pharma wants to do, whatever hospital wants to do, as long as you put the patient first, then you can't go wrong.
Well, that makes sense. Let's talk about, how they're getting conducted and designed, the risk-benefit analysis of shifting to a vaccine-first treatment. Because in my experience with my wife, as we've talked about, that was coming a little bit later in the cascade. We were trying the chemo and the, looking into the targeted therapies, and she wasn't really a candidate given her type of cancer for immunotherapy. It didn't seem like it would be worth that high risk of side effect and all the rest that comes with newer drugs. But what do you predict as risks that might blockade the vast benefits of starting with a vaccine? So a patient's diagnosed and we can sequence their tumor and we can create this very specialized and targeted therapy. I always wonder if we should call it a vaccine or a therapy. You can weigh in on that. If technically it's a vaccine, I think it is technically, but I don't know. You can start there, but in general, is this the place we should be starting versus what I call the Hail Mary ending?
Well, first thing first, Jim, very sorry about Audrey. She's a wonderful person, and thank you so much for sharing your story, because you inspire us all by her story, and your cancer care has to be safer, more effective, and better given, because at the moment the therapy can be quite tough. You're right. We need to think about how to make safer treatments more effective. Anything that can help you recognize the cancer, your immune system, can be one of those options. We already know that 1 in 2 people never get cancer in their lives. I can't work out why. Is that just because they're lucky, or is it because they've got better immunity? If it is around immunity, then why should we not be stimulating people to recognize cancer? I know there's lots of strong views about vaccines, but you're probably right. They're kind of more of a treatment, aren't they?
It seems like it to me. Yeah, it's not really a vaccine per se.
Not really a vaccine. You cut the cancer out. You got to pick up cancer much earlier so you can cut it out. And then rather than worrying every single year that it's going to come back because that's an inevitability, you just activate the immune system and they can patrol against their cancer for years. We're seeing studies now that when you activate the immune system, it can last many years. We hope that's going to move into survival, because there's got to be a scenario whereby we pick up cancer earlier, before it discovers you, before it causes pain, before it causes bleeding, before it causes lumps. These could be blood tests. And then we treat people earlier, like with safer treatments, something that stops it coming back, something that just helps the immune system recognize that cancer. It's just got to unmask it. That future is now within reach now. We've been given this technology gift, something that we can update, we can prime the immune system, and it's just our time to now try it. Just give it a go again. Try and make these benefits so it's safer, more effective, and just easier to give.
My understanding when we were researching it all, that the side effects are similar to when you go get a flu shot. It's not what we've seen with other, we've heard a lot of stories about cell therapies and gene therapies and other next generation targeted therapies. They seem to come with side effects similar to those seen maybe with chemo. Now we've learned to use chemo really well, and it's better and better and better in the way it's given. But obviously those are the standards of care. And, we still haven't really graduated to these, what are they sound benign, the side effects. Is that too good to be true for cancer vaccines?
Yeah, Jim, you're right. I mean, the therapies that we got are effectively poisons. The chemo just poisons the cancer, and you hope that people also can recover from that. And it's really, they're getting better, but I can't say it's easy. We've had new therapies come through, but you're right. What we're seeing from the early studies, that is a shot. All they're doing is just updating a little bit in the middle the instructions of what the immune system should recognize, that no longer is it recognizing some infectious diseases, it can help you unmask that cancer. So what do we get? We got a bit of a sore arm, maybe a bit of shivers, not feeling quite right for a day, and then maybe a few days later we got back to normal. That was what most people got. And we're also seeing that same sort of situation from the safety studies from cancer patients too. And I think it's important to say that obviously with cancer, you're a bit more delicate, maybe your immune system not quite so strong, and therefore that monitoring might take a bit longer, but it is a shot. So a sore arm, bits of fluey as your immune system is activated, and then monitor. Very, very different from chemo. If the future moves into this sphere, then that could really be a much better way to treat people.
Yeah, it's hard to believe it can work if it's so benign, right? We have this mindset that it has to do other harm and damage to really, you listen to some of the side effects people get hung up with. Is it possible they could be that effective? Can we expect them to be that effective, even though they sound benign from a side effect perspective?
Yeah, it's my patients come to me and they want the strongest chemotherapy. They believe that the stronger I give them, the more side effects get, the better it is. It's not true. We want people to feel well. It's okay to feel well with cancer. And it's also okay that your immune system is patrolling against the cancer. That's fine. So I would say that it's right. We've got to get safer treatments with less side effects. And actually, we know that the immune system is very strong. People can fight off a cold and not feel that unwell with it. So why not? Why can't one day people have an immune system that can hold against the cancer too, stop it coming back? That would be wonderful. So this all needs to be tested. We're waiting the results of the first phase 3 study. We're going to know shortly. And if we do move in the sphere where shots can treat cancer, I think that's probably a good thing, actually, because it could be much, much better in terms of side effect profiles than anything we've had before.
So tell us a little about the phase 3s in melanoma, right?
Yeah.
And the other phase 2s and others you're talking about are what? Mouth, neck, larynx. Tell us the rationale for the design and how that treatment goes and how this may go in the future. And why melanoma? I'm really curious why melanoma?
The one to look out for, the one that you mentioned, which is now waiting results, is a drug called V940. It sounds very scientific, and it treats skin cancer, a type of skin cancer called melanoma. That's one your immune system can recognize, and so it's looking hopefully quite good. So stimulate immune system. But the issue with that, you get a lot of autoimmune side effects because you've revved the immune system to overdrive. But for some people, it really helps them. Some people get long-term survival from cancer if you activate the immune system and rev it into overdrive. They're now taking the next step, Jim, as you say correctly. Okay, now we activate the immune system, but we now tell it where to go. We give it the instruction manual. It's like telling a sniffer dog, go for this. And they go for it. Not only you got the dog ready, but you fed the dog, you've warmed it up, you took it for a walk, and you tell it exactly where to go, and it will just go running out there happily, go for the cancer. So that's the combination approach at the moment. It's really interesting. The combination approach could be stronger than just giving mRNA treatment alone, and that's all now being tested in the phase 2 studies. That's bowel and pancreatic and lung. It's going to be interesting in the next few years.
So what makes mRNA tech particularly suitable for this? I know there's an antigen there's other approaches, so maybe you can quick contrast this to what other cancer vaccine programs are out there. I think BioNTech and Moderna and Merck and AstraZeneca, they're all mRNA, right?
So probably 3 reasons on this technology. The first one is acceptability. Everyone around the world got these, and we all know what the side effect profile is, so we know what shot is. Everyone gets it, had it, so we expect that as a form of treatment now. So doctors are ready to give it, patients are ready to give it. It's all been sorted. The second bit is around manufacturing. They're much easier to make than other types of drugs like cell therapy or gene therapy, and the reason why they're easy to make is because the whole world pumped this research area, this tech field, with investment to make it even easier, faster. And we've gone through 2 to 3 years of rapid technology development. So it's now a stable technology, which is great. And the third bit is it's potentially a lot cheaper. We know that shots can be made much, much cheaper than before. So the technology nicely has become cheaper than other types of therapies that could be made. So it's around acceptability. Everyone knows what it's like to get. The ability to manufacture because we pump prime the system, it's now ready to go. And also a technology which is better than one before, cheaper to make, which is nice. So that could really be good things for people who are facing cancer diagnosis at the moment or have families who've been affected or been affected by it.
So putting you on the spot a little, what cancers are going to respond best? I assume it's the ones that have responded best to PD-1s.
No crystal ball, but I think you're right, Jim. If your immune system can recognize your cancer from the existing first-generation immunotherapies, then the chances are the vaccines will probably also work. Although I would also say, look at the pancreatic cancer study from BioNTech. That's a cancer which should not respond to immunotherapy, but you're getting good vaccine responses for the last many years. So it makes me think that actually, maybe a bit of hope that actually if you're truly personalizing a therapy to a patient because you're priming the immune system against their abnormalities, which is seen in their cancer, you sequence the cancer, you made the shot for them, maybe you're getting immune responses that you wouldn't necessarily thought. And that's what's going to come out over the next few years. And that's really exciting times because it's only less than 5 years of the pandemic at the moment where these new technology come through, but it's exciting times.
Well, the vaccine concept is a one and done shot. I know this isn't the way it really happens, right? You keep giving it sporadically over time. So again, this name vaccine versus therapy, which it feels like it's more of a therapy to me, it might actually help the image of the development of them as well, that they're really therapies, not vaccines. Because isn't it multiple shots that people get?
Yeah, you're right, Jim. It's an mRNA therapy. It may be given like a vaccine, but you're right. It's to activate the immune response over time, keep it responding to get that cancer in check. That's how it's been given. And it's normally given after surgery to try and stop that cancer returning. So you're right, it's not as such. You're not grabbing people and forcing people to get things. It's not like that at all. People actually want to be given the opportunity to try something to help their immune system patrol against that cancer coming back.
Right, because it's initially for this concept of preventing recurrence, which is what the big problem is in the long run. But is it something that people, my wife's cancer was pretty inoperable. Do we think it can impact that population too at some point?
I don't know the answer to this one, actually, because, Jim, you're right. Many people are diagnosed late at the moment, and not for any fault of their own, just bad luck. We don't have the test to pick up cancer earlier. We should be getting the blood test. We should be accelerating that too, so you can pick up from blood where people have got cancer. But I do wonder, in the back of my head, if it's proven this situation, if you can activate the immune response to recognize someone's cancer, what's stopping it now at a later stage? Should we not be getting trials there? And I think the natural course will be, once you've proven it in one setting, it'll move into other settings, possibly in combinations with other things to make it stronger. And maybe you need stronger immunotherapies. But that's that bright potential here. If you can stop a cancer coming back, reduce that chance, why can't you now stop a cancer that's established or spread? Trials will tell.
So how much money do we need to fund all this? I mean, the National Health Service is putting their money where their mouth is here. I know the U.S., Donald Trump announced a program with Larry Ellison, which was to the tune of $500 million, leveraging AI. How much money and how much will AI and new technology help? Is it already helping? Give us a little perspective into the future, and how much do companies and the public need to invest here?
We live in the most amazing times, don't we? AI making discoveries before humans can even see the patterns. Genomics, where you can sequence the cancer and know exactly what's causing it. And mRNA, where you can protect a population very quickly with easy manufacturing. AI, genomics, and mRNA is all now coming together. You ask me how much it costs? Well, actually, cancer drugs already are expensive. We, the public, pay for it through our insurance premiums. That market already exists. So the drugs are there, they're paid for already. We already know how to develop drugs. So I'm not sure that much additional money is required, because at the end of the day, we pay for it through our premiums. We pay through our healthcare service. You just maybe need a little bit of leadership. Leadership is effectively saying this is where we get to. And that's where America's been absolutely wonderful, making those sorts of statements about you were talking there about making a major push using AI. And that Stargate, it's amazing.
So let's be predictive. What's it all mean? Assuming the tech works, then it seems like it's going to, at some point, it'll get perfected. When do you think we'll have a widely available number of these therapies? Are we 5 years away from that? Are we 10 years? You kind of give us a sense. It sounds like we're closer than maybe some people realize.
I think we are closer than people realize, actually, Jim. You're quite right, because the reality is that the phase 3 has completed. As soon as that completes, as long as the best cancer centers open with the best trialists, all focusing on patient benefit, it goes pretty quickly at that stage. And you can see a whole new opportunity, a brighter horizon of safer, more effective, easier treatments to be given. That's a win-win for healthcare systems. And actually, that is the legacy of everything we've gone through. All that investment, all the hardship that we've gone through showed us that our systems for making discoveries can be wonderful, and they can happen quickly and they can happen fast, and people can benefit and lives can be changed. So I think you're not looking at 10 years. I think you're looking much shorter.
Well, that immunotherapy revolution took, from my experience having launched Keytruda and being involved in the early days of Opdivo. I mean, I remember working on one of the first immunotherapies for prostate cancer that you're well aware of, Provenge, which was a Dendreon product. And that had ups and downs, but is obviously helped patients. So we did have some positive experience there, right? In the beginning, they were calling that a vaccine.
Yeah.
And we were saying it's not, it's a therapy, but it was hard to make. It sounds like we've obviously come much further. It's not as hard to make. And COVID didn't have a lot of benefits, but maybe this is the one that we're all going to look back and say, thank God for COVID because it helped us cure cancer. Are we going to say that?
Yeah. Who'd have thought anyone would be saying those phrases?
Right.
Right, Jim. And thank you for everything you did in terms of developing drugs like Keytruda, because people are living like beyond 5 years and some into 10 years because of that drug. If you activate someone's immune system, the memory lasts for a long time. So that's the exciting potential.
Well, I sure didn't develop it. Jim Allison and all the other guys, and then all the people at Merck and at Bristol Myers Squibb did all that hard work. I know Annalisa Jenkins, who a mutual friend of ours, was involved in those early years. So lots of people to thank for that. But I would say now the next generation's coming. Many of those folks are involved in that revolution and evolution. How has this collaboration between big pharma and small biotech startups and government, it's kind of working? I mean, is it something we should be doing more? This public-private partnership?
Absolutely. The greatest solutions don't come from one entity, do they? The greatest ideas which change the world come from all of us, and the movement that supports it then allows it to change the world. When people work together, amazing things happen. So when hospitals work with doctors, work with patients, work with governments, you can really change the narrative for how things could be a much, much brighter future. And it doesn't take much, does it? It's just people willing to be brave to try again. We've seen bravery. People with cancer are brave.
The bravest, yeah.
They want to go and change the world for them. And actually, it's very possible now that all these technology spheres are coming together. AI, genomics, mRNA, and new technologies are being developed now. So it is a good time to be oncologist.
So something we experienced ourselves is when we always would ask our oncologists, what stage are we at? Because that's a common thing to say, but I think we're going to see staging and classification kind of blow up in the era of these new therapies, because we were told is, look, if the treatment works, does it matter what stage you're at? It really doesn't matter all that much. If we have these kinds of treatments, it's almost like you either respond and you have success or you don't. So are we going to see all of that change as well?
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. I hadn't thought of that, but just shows your insight of you seeing what's happening. Because you're right. When we started medicine, we got told that stage 4 cancer, that's when it's gone out where the cancer started. It's gone across the body, your lungs, your liver. That is not good news, and people have got mumps at that stage. But look what some of the early immunotherapy drugs did. The Keytrudas out there, some people, when you activate the immune system, I saw this, the cancer melted away. I just couldn't believe that when the drugs came through. It's a magical moment. It's so rare, but happens. Every doctor's seen it, the cancer disappearing. And maybe one day that might happen more often than not, because we've cracked immunity. We've now used AI, genomics, and our mRNA to crack immunity and make sure that we can recognize cancer again and just unveil it. That will be lovely. If that happens, Jim, you're right, then what does staging matter? The most important thing becomes the immune response against the cancer, not the stage.
Very excited. Well, I think it's sort of mind-blowing what's happening, right? And I think based on the data you all produce, as the programs advance here in the US and in other parts of the world that are beginning to focus on it, and here we are in a relatively short time post a crazy global pandemic, that we really are on the cusp of hope like we never had before. Yet, in my own personal experience, we couldn't quite get there, and many others. It's not just mine. I want to be careful. It's not the cure, but it's advancement, a giant leap or whatever they said, for mankind. I think we're about to make that, and that's exciting. And thank you for what you're doing. So I always want to ask my guests the guilty pleasure questions, like the personal questions that make us understand what makes you tick personally. So we're going to veer out of that last bit of the discussion that was so fun and exciting to just asking you, what's your guilty pleasure? And also, if you were stranded on a desert island, what album would you take?
I think for me, it is the sporting challenge. I swum across English Channel. I swum around Manhattan. I've done ultra marathon. So I want to try and get to the 100-kilometer run. I've got a few injuries, but my hope is I can get to that 100-kilometer run one day. So that'll be.
You don't have to feel guilty about that. That doesn't sound like anything you'd feel guilty about.
Damages your joints, I think, and then you got to be wired a little bit odd. You got to keep going when you got a lot of pain. But that's nice to get to the end of it.
And what album are you going to take to the desert island?
Something that probably tells you my age. Bittersweet Symphony by The Verve. My first CD.
It reveals so much about people. Mine would be something Grateful Dead related, but I always tell that at the end of all these. So, hey, Dr. Lennard Lee, everybody, thanks so much for being here with us. It's been great getting to know you. I really look forward to working with you more, getting this story out as this evolves, helping more patients learn about it, participate, gain the benefits. To say it's going to have a big impact is an understatement. So thanks for all you're doing.
And Jim, thank you very much for doing this podcast. You've worked so hard on it, giving people hope that actually with research, everything gets better. And we're all thinking about you and for all the great things you continue to do. So thank you, Jim.
Thanks. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me on the Get Real podcast. I hope you feel a little healthier hanging out with me. It's going to be a lot of fun passing this along to others. Please subscribe below. Please share. I'm excited not just to talk about healthcare, but a lot of other fun topics. It's about making healthy talk about healthcare. It's not a lecture. This is supposed to be fun, and look forward to spending more time with you in the future.